Welcome back, City Builders. CodiakTheKodiak here. In today's video, we're going to be looking at the very first of the two North American packs, US Southwest. I'm incredibly excited for these American packs as somebody who almost exclusively does NA builds. I'm very excited to finally be able to kind of sink my teeth into what everybody else has been able to experience in terms of these region packs. I am absolutely in love with some of the buildings in this pack, and I will definitely be using a ton of them in my future builds. I think they really knocked a lot of them out of the park. Before we dive on into that, I want to let you guys know that over on my Twitch stream, which you can find a link to down in the description, I have been doing a 9 to 5 streamathon. So throughout the month of February, I have been live every single day, aside from a couple days just due to some dental appointments that I've had, from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Eastern Time. All of this is leading up to March 3rd when the US Northeast pack comes out, where I will be making a big return to City Skylines streaming over on Twitch. I'll also be live that day here on Kodiak Cities, where we'll be starting a new build featuring all of the new region packs, specifically focusing on an NA build. Now, before we get started, make sure to subscribe, hit that like button, and do not forget to turn on notifications so you can keep up to date with all the City Skylines 2 news, tips, and tricks. Without further ado, let's get started. So here we are looking at all of the buildings currently available in the Southwest pack. I'm very impressed by the low residential buildings, and you'll see why here in a minute. I think that they will be utilized so frequently in so many North American builds. One thing I will say is that as an American, I'm just not as familiar with other regions of the world's architecture. I don't live in these cities. I don't know what it feels like to be there. And so when I look at the Southwest pack, it does really feel like America. It feels like I am where I live. And I didn't get that same feeling from the other packs because they don't relate to me in the same way. However, this pack definitely does that, and gosh, it just makes me so excited to see what content creators will be able to make and put onto the workshop once the asset editor is ready. So, enough teasing you guys, let's actually dive on in and start looking at some of these buildings here. So if we start taking a look at these low residential homes and we look at the lowest level, you get that classic ranch style building. Now I will say that there is only 2 widths available inside of these region packs. I don't know if you guys ever noticed, but I do break them up. So I group all the buildings based on the actual zoning width. So these are all 2 wide buildings, and then these are all 3 wide buildings. So for the low residential pack, there's only 2 widths that you really need to worry about. It's 2 wide and 3 wide. And if you look at these buildings, man, these ranch homes, I mean, these just scream classic Americana homes. Like when I walk around, at least my neighborhood, now I don't live in the Southwest, but if you walk around most places in the country, you're going to find ranch homes that look exactly like this. The team that worked on this pack absolutely nailed it. And then there's also some Southwest flair in this pack as well. One thing I will say about this pack is that I do wish there was a little bit more Southwest flair in it. I find myself being a little pickier maybe about this pack because as an American, I kind of know what some of this architecture and what these styles look like. But in general, in terms of American architecture, they absolutely killed it. And the quality of some of these buildings, especially as we go up in levels, as you guys will see, they're just chef's kiss. They're absolutely fantastic. If you look at some of these buildings here, they're, you know, if we go around to the backside, you have like a little bit of garbage in the background, which for a lower level home, I could totally see happening here in the States. Like that just feels right. It feels right. There's something right about it. And especially as we move down through here and then we start to get homes that look like this. Now this screams Southwest and this building is gorgeous. I absolutely love this lot. It looks super great. You have the palm trees as well. And now as we move over here into some of these like deeper lots, you have bigger backyards. Now granted, there's still some junk back there, but just a nice big empty backyard. Just, yeah, classic America. And then as we move over here into the 3 wide lots, you kind of get the same thing, but they're shaped a little wider. You got a nice 2-car garage here with the for sale sign in the front. I mean, gosh, when my wife and I were looking for homes, like I can't tell you how many homes we looked at that looked exactly like these things. I am so surprised by how good of a job that the team did in making this pack. Then as we go up to level 2 homes, the level 2 homes just kind of feel like slightly newer constructions, maybe homes that were built maybe in the 2000s, early 2000s-ish. Like this is kind of the architecture that you would see from that era. So I love the transition from these like kind of ranch style homes that were a lot more popular back, you know, even in through the 80s. Like that kind of home was definitely a lot more popular in terms of construction up into the 2000s here on the second levels, which, you know, these kind of homes were really really popular back in the 90s and into the 2000s, this style of architecture. And then you also obviously still have the backyards with the sliding glass back door. I mean, this just screams America to me. Now, that home I showed you before that I really like, the second level of this home is just as cute and adorable. I absolutely love this freaking house. It is just, oh gosh, I love it. I love it so much. And so as we move through these homes, you begin to see this exact style that they kind of have through here. Then you have this home. I don't know why it screams Simpsons house, even though it's not as flat. There's just something about it that just really kind of feels that way as well. And one of the nice things too is, as I don't want to spoil the level 3 homes necessarily, but this pack does happen to utilize on some of the lots, not all of them, but some of the lots do utilize the recolor meshes. So you can actually recolor some of the things like the siding here, and you can recolor the roof tiles if you want to make it a different color, like maybe you want to make it have a bit more Southwest flair and have that orange roof, or the paneling on the side of the house as well. I think also, yes, you can change the color of the house, so you can make it look like a clown house if you want to, but you can actually do that on some of the lots, which is also really nice. And then finally, we have the new modern McMansion US style right here. This is just what all new constructions basically look like here in the States, especially out west. So I think they really nailed the level 5 homes. Like when I think of like a new construction in like Colorado, let's say, and I wouldn't say Colorado is necessarily Southwest, but there's a lot of Southwest inspired architecture out over there. When I think of a new home over there, this is what it looks like. And I think the team that worked on the Southwest pack absolutely nailed that aesthetic. And, you know, there is a bit of Southwest flair in these like adobo looking homes here. And then my actual favorite lot in the game, I mean, dude, this thing is just adorable. It looks like a little cottage. You know, it does feel like something that you would see maybe in LA, I think, in some of the like, you know, burbs out of LA. I think I would see a home like this looking all cute and adorable. But as we move on through here, you can see that is a lot of these McMansion cookie cutter homes. And that's really what this pack did, is it created a lot of these architectural styles that you will see a lot in neighborhoods where it's all kind of the same style of home, right? Like there's a lot of neighborhoods in the States that have they were all built around the same time, and they all look like different variations of ranch style homes. And then you have the same thing for this style and same thing for these newer McMansions that exist. I am really excited to take a crack at making some neighborhoods with these buildings. And you have some more modern buildings as well in this pack, which is pretty nice as well. That will zone up as well. So, you know, I'm very happy with how the low residential worked out. And I can see myself using this in probably every single build I do. Just for the low res exclusively. Now, that's not to say that the other zoning types aren't as good. I just can see myself using low res all the time. Now, there is a limited selection of row homes as well. Now, it's basically 4 different variations. So you have a left and right variation of this one, and then you have a single variation of this one and the one on the end over here, and then a left-right variation of this house as well. I quite like this one as well. I've definitely seen a building that probably looks exactly like this building at some point in time in my life, which you know, this feels like something that I would see maybe even in my city. So I quite like that it has some variety in here, especially as these buildings level up, because they look very different as they level up here compared to these buildings, which kind of just looks like larger levels of the same lot. I really like how they have the garage on the front side of some of these buildings. This is something that you would see quite a bit on row homes, especially on the West Coast, where they began to incorporate the garage, especially into the actual row home on the front side of the house. So you pull right in under some section of the house. I love that they included that there. This looks super nice, especially as you get to level up here. This is definitely something you would see out West. Something I didn't necessarily expect to see a lot of in this pack, but there is a ton of medium density homes in this pack as well. The architecture styles definitely feel generic American as well, so you can use them all over. You have your modern like little apartment townhomes here. You have a little bit more of a modern apartment building here too. You have a little bit more dated ones. It's like Art Deco-y one. This one has more of a courtyard feel on the front side, and you go back to some of that older style, the newer style. This one could totally go on a corner here. I think this might be a corner zonable actually as well. I'm not too sure about that. And the same thing with this one, it's the right corner zonable. So I believe those are the left and right variations. And so is this one right here. But still, we move on through. We get some more modern American apartments. I am just kind of in love with this. And then we have this repurposed industrial lot. Like, I can tell that this was probably like maybe even a factory at one point, and then they repurposed it into apartments, which is pretty common here in the States, or maybe it had housing over top of the workshop down below it at one point, and now it's all just one big apartment building. That's super common here in the States, especially where I live in Grand Rapids. It was a big furniture manufacturing city with a lot of bricks, so our downtown is all like repurposed brick manufacturing buildings that are all kind of like high-end condos now and businesses. So I really love that there is some buildings like that in this pack. And then there's just a huge section of, what is it? I think this is 5x5 zonables here in the medium density that all feel very west, like very southwest, west coast aesthetic. Now, I've kind of hammered in a lot that I wish that there was a little bit more southwest flair in this pack, but a lot of America is really the same. It's the same kind of buildings built exactly the same way, maybe with different building materials and different building codes, but they all do generically look the same no matter where you go in the country, and there is very limited amounts of flair. Now, the Southwest does have this unique architecture style that we don't see a lot of places outside of the Southwest in the United States specifically. So I'm glad to see that they did include some of that stuff, and I absolutely love these lots. I think they look super great. And then finally, at the end here, we have this 6 wide. It kind of feels like a very modern apartment building that doesn't necessarily feel American, but we do have a lot of buildings that look exactly like this in the States with this like metal, I don't know, it almost feels like a repurposed shipping crate as like part of the building, and then the rest of the building might be like a different building material like the stone or brick maybe even. So that, I thought that was pretty cool because there is a lot of modern apartment buildings in the States that look exactly like this. Some of the details on these lots are really cool as well. Like this one has a rooftop pool with this cool like little pattern style on the roof with a like palm tree growing on it too. I think it's super sick. I really like that they included something like this on the rooftops here to make it multi-use. You know, a lot of people here in the States love to just go and hang out and smoke on their rooftop. So I think that's actually really cool that they were able to make the higher end ones feel like it was more of like a intentionally lived space. Next up, we have high res, and there really isn't a ton of high residential buildings here or in this pack in general. You know, when I think of like high rises and big urban downtowns in the United States, I don't really think of the Southwest. It's definitely more of a low density kind of area. But there is still some buildings in here. You know, when I first looked at this pack, I was like, man, there's a lot of brick in this pack. Does the Southwest really have this much brick? And then I started doing some exploring on Google Maps. I'm like, oh yeah, it does have just as much brick as the rest of the United States. I really like this building as well. I think that the detail in this high rise is super sick. And the 6 wide version, or maybe this is 5 wide, the largest wide version of the high rises, I absolutely love the smallest one, not the larger ones. Larger ones start to incorporate these like wood on the roofs here for making it more of like a lived space. But I kind of like the simplicity of this smaller version of the lot. I think it's super cute, and I think they absolutely nailed this one. Next up, we have our mixed use, and there is actually quite a lot of this low height mixed use building, which I am very excited about. As somebody who really likes to build more, I guess, like small town rural stuff in city skylines, like I like to build those little like enclave communities that are kind of like outside of the city, you know, they're in the metro area, they commute in to the city for work maybe, or to go to concerts and things like that. Like I like to build stuff like that more than I like to actually build the urban cores of my city. I feel like the game has been really lacking like what America has a lot in those commercial centers of the historic parts of the downtown. And lots like this will really help me at least flesh out some of those downtowns where you have like, you know, there is a business at the bottom with like apartments above it that people do still live in. And we don't build a lot new ones or more of those necessarily, but we have a lot of these in our historic downtowns. And so the fact that we finally have some lots that actually look like that are really exciting. And so I'm super appreciative of the team for putting those in here. Like this one kind of feels like an old movie theater on the bottom maybe. And then, you know, it just feels right. It just feels really right. So as we go up in levels, mostly it just goes up in height. It doesn't change too much in architectural style for any of these buildings. It's mostly just a heightened version of it, which is pretty common throughout these region packs. Usually they just slap a couple floors on it, maybe spruce it up a little bit, call it a day. I super love buildings like this because I will definitely be utilizing buildings like this in a lot of my builds with these like repurposed brick buildings. Then we have some more modern ones over here that kind of mimic the high rise that we saw earlier too. Now, next up is commercial, and when I think of NA commercial, I think low density, and they absolutely nailed these buildings, man. Oh my God, these might be some of my favorite things in the whole pack. Like, I know I said I will utilize the low res. I'm also gonna utilize the commercial because they killed it with the commercial side. Oh my gosh, like this just feels like a little burger joint in like a little Southwest architectural style, you know? Like maybe this is like a Ponderosa Steakhouse. Do those even exist anymore? Let me know down in the comments. I don't think they do. I think all the ones around here closed. But, you know, it just kind of feels like that vibe. And then you have like the generic American strip mall. My hometown has a strip mall that looks exactly like this. And then you have like more of like your fast casual dining restaurants here. And they also included some motels. You have your like lower, cheaper, crappier motels here, and then it goes up, and then it's got a second floor, and then it gets a little nice, and it's like, oh, okay, cool. Like maybe this one actually has like a membership where you learn loyalty points at, and so you know, as you go up in here as well, and I believe these actually are motels, so I think they will only zone in if you have like a tourism in your city. So I think, but don't quote me on that, but I think that is how that works for those. But then as we go up in building level here, we come into some of my favorite commercial buildings. So like you have this diner, and it's kind of off center, which feels like a diner. A lot of diners for some reason are just like off angle in the States. I don't know why, but a lot of them are like that. So like you have this like retro diner, and then you have like this one, which feels like an IHOP of some kind. And then you go up into like, now it's like a fine dining, maybe not a fine dining, but like a higher end dining restaurant. Something like whatever a step up from Chili's is. Like that's what I imagine this restaurant is. Like maybe like under a PF Chang's but above a Chili's. Like that's the vibes I get from this one. Gosh, they killed these. They did such a good job. And then we have our drive-thrus, our classic American drive-thrus here with no parking, and you can kind of exit through the back street here. Oh gosh, they did such a good job with the commercial. Oh my gosh. This one right here is giving like the new modern Taco Bells. If you guys have seen those before, definitely feels like that. Then as we start to get up a little higher, you have like these like drive-through parking lots. Like there's no parking necessarily here, but it does feel like an auto body shop maybe is right here. And then you like being upgraded. Oh, maybe this one does like the interior of your sound of your car, you know? And then you move up and it's like, this is an Aspen Dental. And I love how unique all these are. Like, I don't know, this feels like a Blockbuster. And then this one feels like a Bed Bath & Beyond. And then this one feels like a Best Buy. Like, I think they did such a good job, specifically with the commercial buildings, creating like different levels of the buildings that really feel like they're upscaling in terms of like quality of what the business is probably offering its customers. This building is super cool as well, very modern, has a big courtyard in the front. You have multiple businesses in here. I feel like I have something that looks like this even in my city. Then as you get a little further into the width of this, they begin to break them up into like more businesses. So like more doors to make it feel like it's an actual strip mall, because when I think of American commercial, I think of strip malls. And then we have the bigger motels here. Now this is a motel, man. This is an American motel. And then you have the 2-floor one with a little walkway in between. And then you have like your Hampton Inn. Then this final level is like, you know, you might have like a Cold Stone right here and a Starbucks right here or something with all the parking. And oh man, oh gosh, dude, I'm like grinning ear to ear right now. They think they killed this. And then you have like an auto body shop here. And then this is your sound place. And then this is like, I don't know, this feels more like a hospital, like an urgent care. And then this last set of commercial is super cool. So you have this, I don't know why this is giving like Micro Center vibes. And then you move up into here, and then this is some like local grocery chain perhaps. But then you move up into this last one, and it's got an underground parking deck. I don't know what this building would be necessarily in terms of like businesses or like what they've inspired off of, maybe a museum or something. I don't know, but gosh, the fact that it includes like underground parking, I thought was such a cool, unique little touch they put in this building. So yeah, really impressed by the commercial buildings. We know we spent a lot of time on them just now, but I think they're so cool, and I have like so much inspiration for them. Now, finally, we have the offices, and a lot of these just look like very generic American office buildings, which I think they absolutely killed, and I think is exactly what I wanted them to do. You know, you probably get your taxes done here, and then you know, this is probably the place where you sign your title for your house. Like, they just look like good old generic American commercial buildings. I think they did such a good job with them, and I'm happy that they included some palm trees in some of these lots as well, so make it really feel like it's a Southwest. I also appreciate that they're all brick, like especially these ones right here. Like this just, there's a lot of office buildings, especially where I live, where we had like a big office boom here in the States, and like we, you know, need all these places to store file cabinets, and like we had people moving from industry into like more office positions, and a lot of that happened when brick architecture was kind of like, you know, the choice of these buildings. So as a result, a lot of these office buildings that exist in the States are brick. So it's really cool that a lot of them are brick, because that's what a lot of them are. I think they killed that. I know it's like you might think that that's like, well, yeah, of course. Like if they're all brick, why would they be brick? But it matches the era of when these buildings were built too, right? So then you have some more newer modern ones, maybe for some tech companies, you know, and then you have like these other co-working spaces that these feel more like these are more modern office buildings that are maybe shared and like hip and functional, right? Like, ooh, look at this little patio that they have for their employees to go sit out on, you know? Fun, we're cool. Maybe there's a ping pong table. We have a little wellness garden out back for our employees to go sit at. We're a hip, fun, cool work environment, you know? Like that's kind of the vibe I get from this building as well, which I mean, I don't know. I think that they did such a good job with this pack. I'm very, very happy with the quality of the buildings in this one. So those are all of the zonables. Let's take a look at the signature buildings. Now it seems like there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 signature buildings. Let's start off here on these Imperial Heights apartments. So there's Imperial Heights apartments and Imperial Heights apartments with parking. So they're functionally the same lot, just with parking. So these ones have 2 extra apartments, and then these ones have parking. There's a lot of apartments in the States that look exactly like this. So I'm a little disappointed. I'm disappointed that these are actually not zonables and that these are signature buildings. You know, a lot of times these are like public housing units, and then when they leave the public housing center and become like maybe private housing, and then they get a little dumpy because they're not as new or upkept, and they were just kind of there to help a housing influx potentially. And so a lot of these apartment complexes are like kind of forgotten and run down as a result. Landlords don't really give a crap anymore, and they stop taking care of the property. As you can see by the dead and dying grass here next to the sidewalks, like I think they did a really good job with the aesthetic of these apartments. But that being said, there is quite a lot of places like this in the country, so it's a little sad to me that I guess we can't have more than 2 of these without mods, because, you know, some people do play vanilla, or like console players won't be able to place multiples of these eventually once they get access to the game. So that's just a little disappointing maybe to me. But that doesn't take away from the fact that the buildings themselves are very nice. Now, the ones with parking do feel maybe a little nicer, I guess. I think some of the windows are still maybe boarded up potentially. No, it seems like the boarded up ones are the ones without. No, there's still some boarded up ones in there. But you do have your parking here. You have your classic apartment like dump area where people just throw their trash wherever they want. Like this just feels like I'm living in an apartment again. And they have a little public basketball court inside for the residents as well. I think this is a really cool lot, and I'm definitely going to find a way to work it into my builds. Now, even though they look different, they are functionally exactly the same. A large public housing complex that fulfills low residential demand, plus 4 well-being within 1 kilometer. Same thing can be said for this one, except demand that includes on-site parking. Now, one thing I don't like about these is that they hold 720 households. Way too many people. Way too many people, I think, for these lots. I mean, obviously, like if you count the number of doors, there would not be 720 households. Now, I guess maybe if you were to look at buildings of like similar size that are like, let's say even like medium density, like these guys, there's only 8 households in them. So it just feels like so abnormally big for like what it looks like, where I feel like they've done a much better job in this game matching like households to building size, and I feel like this is just not it. Like it might even keep me from placing it in my city, because be prepared for the population influx as a result. Now, next up are 3 commercial buildings. So right here with this, like, I mean, this just feels like a new fast casual restaurant that's going to sell you like some kind of like gentrified taco for like 3 times the cost of a normal like family-owned Mexican restaurant. That's the energy of this lot right here, and I think they nailed it. We have so many places like that here in the States. It's such a unique, cool building too. Like, I definitely can see this being placed in like real life. There's this little, like, I think it's like a pug with glasses. I can't really tell on the door here as well. Like, is it a bar? Food and drinks, you know, if it's probably dimly lit on the inside. It's a local bar that locals avoid due to the inflated drink prices. I didn't even read this. Oh my God, I nailed it. Oh my God. But which is a perfect place for starving artists to pick up extra income. Okay, this is so good, dude. Okay, +1 entertainment citywide, +1 attractiveness citywide, and +3 well-being within 1 kilometer. I just, me and whoever made this building, we're on the same wavelength apparently, but yeah, this is a great lot. I'm excited to put that in there, and especially because they clearly have the menu posted on the outside of the building too. That's such a nice little detail that they added there. Next up is the art supply store. It's for the starving artists. I'm seeing a theme here. A neighborhood store that sells paper, textiles, and media. So no interest citywide gain, but it says plus or minus 0. Interesting. +1 attractiveness citywide and +3 well-being within 500 kilometers. Has 5 attractiveness as well. Yeah, this building's super cool. I love the sign. I think it's very unique. Like, I could see this being in like a little local downtown. You have some shipping containers out back for storing all of their stuff, their art supplies for people, and they have like a little bit of graffiti along the side here as well. Art supply store, frame shop. All others will be towed at owner's expense. Absolutely. I feel like every commercial business in this pack should say that somewhere. All towed at owner's expense. You can't go to a parking lot here in the States without seeing a sign that says that. Finally, we have the Westwood Center. What appears to be just a regular shopping center with a mural and a rooftop lounge is actually a chic, sophisticated entertainment complex that provides unique experiences for trendy citizens. +1 attractiveness citywide, +3 well-being within 1 kilometer. It has 16 attractiveness as well. So here's the lot, and there's this beautiful mural on the backside, so make sure to take advantage of that when you place it. Put it up right up next to the parking lot, so when people drive their F-150s into the parking lot, they can see this beautiful mural on the backside. This is a really cute lot. I love the little rooftop plaza that they have. It reminds me of the rooftop lounge that a bunch of us cities creators kind of hung out on while we were in Finland, bringing back good memories, as a matter of fact. And then you have the little, oh my gosh, okay. For those of you who don't live in the States and don't know this, there's this trendy thing that a lot of like chic upscale like businesses will have, where they'll have this like ivy wall and it'll say like the name of the business in like neon lighting, and people will take pictures in front of it as like for their Instagram, and then the business gets like free promo as a result for giving them a cute background to stand in front of. And that is exactly what that is. Like, there's no doubt in my mind that's exactly what they're trying to emulate there. Well done. The little details in these unique buildings are very nice. Hats off to whoever made these. Next up, we have the Sunshine Hotel. The Sunshine Hotel has been the center of Hollywood celebrities since the 1920s. With its Art Deco interior and exterior, it adds class to the surrounding area. Can you spot some movie stars by the pool? Okay, so definitely with an LA theme and twist. This is supposed to be like a vintage, like classic hotel that celebrities come and stay at when they come to town here. It does have that like vintage kind of like Art Deco vibe going to it, and we do have some celebrities hanging out by the pool. Not really, there's nobody there, but this is a nice little lot. It's a cute little hotel that like can be an iconic landmark in your city because it is so like uniquely dated. The rooftop also says 8352. I'm not really too sure like what inspired this hotel other than like, I guess, the architectural style. If you guys know what inspired this, let me know down in the comments. It's definitely a unique building. I mean, the texture on the front of this is so sick. There's a lot of detail in this lot that I'm kind of, I guess, skipping over to like quickly figure out what the heck it is. But if you guys know what it is, let me know. I don't know why it says the address on the rooftop. Is that so celebrities can see it from their helicopter and they know, so they can punch it in their nav? Who knows? I don't know. It's a nice building nonetheless. +1 attractiveness citywide and +5 well-being within 2 kilometers and has 33 level of attractiveness. Super cool. Might be a fun building to add to your builds. Next up, we have the Twain Tower. Every floor features an open office plan, at least 1 ping pong table. See, I told you, we're on the same wavelength. They brought up the ping pong table again. Hundreds of dedicated offices for project managers and annual pizza parties. This definitely feels like a little bit more of like a modern American skyscraper. It's definitely a unique little skyscraper they have here. I like the little cut angle here on the side. There's also a helipad on the rooftop for the rich CEO to come and land. It has +2 office efficiency citywide, +5 interest in university education, +1 university graduation chance, and +5 well-being within 1.5 kilometers, and has 22 attractiveness. Not sure if this building is based or inspired off of another real-life building, but I do quite like this one as well. So those are the signature buildings. Let's take a look at the service buildings, and we're immediately met with this like Gotham-esque General Hospital here, the U.S. Southwest Central Hospital, a central hospital with 6 wings in the Art Deco style. It provides all the healthcare your city needs. With 20 operating rooms, nurseries, and trained crew of doctors, it provides the ideal set for that medical drama. It can be extended with 2 ambulance bays. I don't know if this is if this hospital is like inspired by like ER or like another medical drama potentially is like hospital. If it is, let me know down in the comments, but it's giving Gotham. Like it feels like this is the set for Batman to come into. It's a super cool lot as well. You have the ambulance bays parked out front, lots of parking around the building for patients and families. There's a little back entrance over here, and there is 2 upgrades for it. They're each exactly the same, just on one side or on each side. So you have the ambulance bay east, which takes some of those parking spaces, and it's actually wrong side, and removes them, throws the ambulances out front, and instead places some more wings down over here. This makes it feel like it's more of like the ER department here, and adds a helipad. Remember, helipads do make it so people can't, high rises can't be like right next to this, so do keep that in mind, but you can add those 2 upgrades to the building here, and there you go. This building can fit 1,000 patients as well, which is quite a bit. On the topic of medical dramas, if you guys haven't watched The Pit, this is not an ad. Friend of the channel, Ty Elevens, he is friends with actually quite a few creators, maybe in the City Skylines space, plays City Skylines himself over on Twitch, actually works on the show The Pit in the post-production department, and they just got greenlit for a 2nd season. It's a phenomenal show. It has one of the main actors from ER that kind of heads the show, and it takes place in an ER in Pittsburgh. Each episode's an hour in the ER. It's super good. If you like medical dramas, please go watch it. Support friend of the stream, Ty, and his show. It's super good. It's on Max. That's my shill. Now let's move on to the next building. Next up is the U.S. Southwest Medical Clinic, and gosh, they killed the architectural style. For those of you who don't know, I do professional video production work for like companies, so like I'll edit like corporate videos or like internal sales videos or event videos for inside of companies. And I did one for Siemens Medical Department one time, and they featured a hospital out in the Southwest, and it looked exactly like this. Basic healthcare for a small area that can pick up patients with ambulances. It helps citizens in its service area remain healthier and can be upgraded with an extension wing that adds more patient capacity and more parked ambulances. So this building can maintain 100 patients, and we can add the, it really feels like it should have the extension wing. It feels a little empty without it, I guess, but it doesn't feel too empty because you do have the windows, but it covers those up in exchange for this extra extension and some more ambulance parking out front here. I really like how it like kind of fits in here, and it creates this like nice little architectural wall gap here, adds some depth to the building. Ooh, I like it. Big fan of that one. Adds also 30 patients to the building as well. These like angled roofs do feel very common to the west part of the country, especially like your Wyoming, even down into your Arizona, like that part of the country. This architectural style just like it just hits so good. Next up, we have the U.S. Southwest Police Headquarters, a large precinct with administrative and staff facilities, a large garage, and jail. It can be upgraded with a helipad that provides police helicopters, and that's actually the only upgrade, so it adds a little helipad to the center. Actually, it's the back one right here. Fits perfectly, honestly, and the detail on the roof here is just so good. Like, I can't, like, I'm no HVAC guy, but wow. Like the level of detail on the roof. Like, I don't know if this is like a 1-to-1 recreation of a real life police headquarters or something, but if it's not, just complete kudos. I mean, gosh, this feels like it's like a level in Hitman or something, or like Call of Duty. Like it just feels so detailed. I don't have any other way to explain it. They really killed the rooftop. It's nice too that the rooftop feels so detailed, because, like, you know, when you're building and looking at your city, you're really looking at rooftops quite a bit. So I love that. Big hats off to that one. But here we go. Here's the police precinct here. I was wondering where they parked the police cars, but these are actually garage doors right here. So they probably just pull in and then park the police cars in there. Yeah, really nice building. You can fit up to 150 criminals in here as well, and it has 31 vehicles. Now, next up is the U.S. Southwest Police Station. A precinct for local police houses staff facilities, several squad cars, and some facilities for short-term incarceration. It can be upgraded with an expanded holding cells for more inmates and an expanded motor pool to support a greater number of squad cars. Now, you guys can see this little blinking no pedestrian access. If you build the upgrades and delete them, it creates like a weird no pedestrian access bug, I guess. I don't know. I'll have to report that so they know about it. But if you place that and delete that, it'll say no pedestrian access there. So you might have to leave the upgrades once you place them. But just keep that in mind. Here is the police department. I think this thing looks super nice. I love the little brick on the side here. You know, it has like a very unique architecture to it. It has expanded holding cells as an upgrade and a police motor pool upgrade. It can hold up to 25 arrested criminals. So the first thing I'll do is take the police car motor pool and add that to the side. So now there is even more police cars. So now there's 25 cars in use that can be used. And then we can also add the expanded holding cell, which adds on to the back here. So we'll get rid of the parking back over here and instead create some more cells here, which definitely like gives that vibe here. And now you can hold up to 50 criminals. Next up is the U.S. Southwest Fire Station. I mean, this just looks like every newer fire station I have seen anywhere in the country, like especially here in Michigan, which is not the Southwest. This is just what they all kind of look like, and I think this is an awesome building. Now, I do have one upgrade on here, so I'll delete it. You guys can see it's right here on the side. But yeah, this is just, oh, gosh, I love this building. I think it looks so good, and I am going to be using it as my like primary fire station from here on out. A small station that houses a few fire engines and also reduces the likelihood of fires in the buildings in its service area by conducting safety supervision. It can be upgraded with maintenance facilities to support more engines. So it starts off with 4 engines from the start, and when you add the extension, which you can see right here, it adds this little roof and this little extra bay right here on the side, it will add up to 8 vehicles in use. So it doubles it right there. It has a little drive-through as well. I do wonder if you can actually take advantage of the cross. Let me take a look here. So you guys can see the pathways using this mod that I have here. And let's actually see if the backside of the building does connect up when you build the paths. So if we create that loop around and we reopen that mod, it doesn't look like it connects up fully. You might have to manually draw that, or maybe it does actually work. I'm not really too sure, but it would be really cool if this auto snapped to this road, and instead the fire trucks could like pull into the backside too, because usually fire trucks, they'll like pull in from the backside and pull all the way through. So that would be really cool if it functions like that. I don't actually know if it does. Let me know down in the comments if you tested it and see if it does work or not. But gosh, I love this building. It's so cool. Next up in terms of fire, we have the U.S. Southwest Fire Station, a large station that houses several fire engines and also reduces the likelihood of fires in the building in its service area by conducting safety supervision. It can also be upgraded with a firefighting training tower, which I have in the back of the lot here. Let me actually delete these so you guys can actually take a look at them. Sorry, I was looking at all the buildings before we started playing here. It can be upgraded with a firefighting training tower, a disaster aid office, and a firefighting helipad that provides firefighting helicopters. So it has 10 vehicles in use from the start here, and as you can see, it has a little grassy courtyard in the back. Definitely intended to be upgraded here. So first off, we can have the training tower, on-site training tower that helps firefighters learn to anticipate challenges when fighting structural fires, allows fires to be extinguished more efficiently. So we can place that in the back over here, and as you can see, it looks like a ruined, destroyed building for their training purposes. And then here, the disaster aid office. Specialized rescue service workers search for survivors in collapsed buildings and must be placed on the roadside edge of the main building. You can just place this like you can with every other extension building. Has to be built away from the unit, but it's just the disaster aid office, so you just have to place it in the general area. It's a pretty cool looking building, I guess. I think it looks pretty nice, but that specialized rescue workers and helps increase all that stuff. You can actually place as many of these as you want. It doesn't explicitly say what it does, but you can place as many as you want. Then we also have the firefighting helipad. Firefighting helicopter operates from here and improves the response time of our firefighting units and can extinguish forest fires from the air. That actually gets added to the back here, and I actually love what they did with how they integrated this into the lot. So it adds this little crosswalk, and there's even like a little ramp up here to the helipad. Oh, that's so cool, dude. I think they did such a good job at it. It's like a little hump here too. Oh God, that just looks so nice. And they have these like little arrows to what I assume are lights too. Gosh, they did such a cool job with that. I think yeah, that's like one of my favorite things in this pack is this helipad, which is such a niche little thing, but just like the detail and care that they put into that, very nice touch. There's also a little patio on this building here as well for the firefighters to sit out and eat at. It's a very modern firefighting station. It's very nice. Next up is the U.S. Southwest Elementary School, a place of basic education for children that provides this first level of education. So there is 3 upgrades. First off, we start off with 1,000 students here, and this just looks like a nice, like modern-esque elementary school. Like it kind of looks like the school I went to, except there's like more of like a modern side to it. Like if you just take the left side of this building, that just looks like the school I went to growing up, with just the brick and like a little bit of a color accent on it. Like that's just where I went. So yeah, this is actually like a really nice building. I think it definitely screams Americana. You have like the pull through here for like buses or parents to like kind of come and drop off and pick up their kids here. You have a little bit of parking for everybody too, especially for like school events and things like that. So first off, we can add the arts and music building, a school extension with 500 additional student capacity. Wow, and increases student well-being. So it will get rid of this back parking lot here. I would assume this is like teacher parking maybe or something like that, or just extended parking, but we'll get rid of that. And now it also adds like a little dining space for maybe the parents to sit, or like the teachers to come and sit for their lunch break. The ones that don't have to watch the kids at recess. Oh, right here's the bus pickup, because you can see the caution cones. So this is very clearly like where the buses come through for picking up kids. And there's extra roads here on the side, so I would definitely assume that these are usable. So let's actually place some roads down so we can see how usable maybe these are. So we have it like that, and if we look at this, yes, we can see that these kind of like snap up to the road here, so these would actually be fully functional as well, which is really cool. We have additional classrooms, school extension with about 1,000 student capacity, so that takes over all of the parking on this side of the building over here. So instead of having all of this parking over here, you'll actually have an extra building, and it's a more modern wing, and it's connected to the old part of the school. Definitely feels right. Like it feels like how a lot of schools expand around here. They'll keep that old architecture and they'll just have like this new, completely different modern architectural style on the side of the building. Sounds about right. So I think this looks super nice though. I'm a big fan of that. And then you have like a bit more of a playground. One of the things that this is kind of lacking without this extension is a playground for the kids. So at least it has that now, I suppose. And then finally we have the annex building, a school extension with the 750 student capacity. Now you build this one off lot. So like we would build this one maybe over here. This is like an extra building they built when the school maybe had too much capacity for students and they didn't know what else to do. It's basically kind of just this building with like a little bit of a different visual flair to it. So like instead there's like a little door over here and then there's a door over here instead of, So yeah, I quite like this elementary school. I'm definitely going to work into my builds. It just adds like another realistic US style to the elementary school. So I'm a big fan of this one. Now, finally, we have the U.S. Southwest High School, and visually love the U.S. Southwest High School. This looks like an American high school, like a more modern, maybe American high school, but an American high school nonetheless. I do think the, track is maybe leaving a little bit more to be desired. Maybe a football field would have been nicer here or something like that. But the basketball courts are very cool. Over here, I appreciate the effort put into at least the building itself. I mean, this is just, this just feels like I should be playing Tony Hawk, in the school level. Like, it just feels like an American school to me. You have the pull through here for parent pickup and stuff like that as well. So we have 4 extensions on this one. A school for teenagers provides a second level of education and can be upgraded with a library, gymnasium, and extra classrooms. So first off, we have the gymnasium. Now that takes over the basketball courts, and then you have this huge gymnasium extension. Definitely feels like an annex gymnasium extra building that they would build on a campus here in the States. Like, that feels right. +3 well-being within 1 kilometer and +10 outdoor recreation. We have the small classroom building. Now, this is an annex building. So you would build this off lot. So we could build this to the side over here. Let's see. Can we snap that up? Yeah, that snaps right up perfectly there. So now we have this extra classroom. This could be the music or the arts building, kind of just slightly off the campus here. So students feel like they have some level of autonomy trying to get to class, part of their learning experience here. So we have the large classroom building. This is another annex building here, so we could place that maybe right here. I don't know if there's an intended spot that the map makers wanted you to put this in, but you could totally put that right there. And what's really cool about this one is students will have to walk through it, and there's a left and a right side to it. This almost feels like a park building. I guess my main complaint with this building is that the pathing is really wide, and it doesn't really feel like there's an intended place from the lot's perspective to put it. I really like it when it feels like an annex building is intended to go somewhere in the lot. Even if I wanted to place it somewhere else, I could do that. But giving it a place that where it fits snug as a bug in a rug is really nice. And it doesn't really feel like this has that. It feels out of place no matter where I place it, which is a little unfortunate. Now, finally, we have the library. Library adds a small amount of new classrooms and increases the graduation success chance of students here. So that gets added into this little blank spot over here and adds a couple new walkways off campus too. So that makes this one kind of again, just a little bit harder to kind of find a fitting spot for it on the lot. Now, granted, I know I can just place this kind of over here across the street, but there's just something I don't know, missing about it. It's a cool building, and I love the little skylights and the little walkway here, but I just wish it cohesively worked in the lot better. At the end, if you add one of each upgraded lot type here, you can have 2,370 students. This building also adds +3 well-being within 1 kilometer and +10 outdoor recreation. All in all, I am very happy with the U.S. Southwest pack. I'm going to be using almost all of these buildings in a lot of builds. They're very American. They fit the vibe. There's definitely some very unique Southwest buildings included in this as well. I think the group responsible for this pack should give themselves a round of applause, especially with some of the cool, smaller details in some of these packs. Oh man, very happy with this one. It makes me really excited to show off next week U.S. Northeast pack, and I hope you guys are just as excited as I am for it. The architecture style of the Northeast is a much more, familiar to where I'm from, and I'm hoping that we get a little bit more of the high-rise and higher density buildings along with that pack too. That pack, again, comes out on March 3rd, and I'll be live over here all day that day, streaming City Skylines 2. Anyways, I won't take up any more of your guys' time. I've been Kodiak the Kodiak, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Deuces.